Oh, there we are. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Oh, right. I can't forget a very important thing. Oh, we already turned it back on. Interesting. Oh, and I gotta turn the fan on. We're missing all kinds of things. Hi, buddy. Do you want to come be our stream kitty? Yeah, you could come be our stream kitty. Oh, come on. Yeah, wouldn't that be so nice? Good boy. Yeah, you could stay right there. Then we could turn on our cat cam. Yeah, look at that. Oh. Yeah, you gonna say hi to the people? Say hi, people. Hi, hi. Oh, hey, why don't you leave Bubba's drink alone? Yes, you can come get some cuddles, but don't be messing with my drink. All right, so let me get all of the comment sections pulled up. Make sure we have all of that going. All right, we've got YouTube. Let's pull up TikTok. We've already got Twitch. Good gracious. Haha. Here we go. Hee hee. Okay. TikTok is pulled up. YouTube is pulled up. Twitch is pulled up. We're here. We're queer. We have a kitty. We have a little kitty. Alrighty. And then we're just waiting on our guest. That is all. So once our guest ghost arrives, we will get going. Hello, hello, everybody. We are looking forward to our guest Wednesday. Oh, and I can see, can I bump up my chair a little bit more? Oh, no, this is as high as it goes. Uh-oh. Well, we might be having a dilemma. Okay, actually, it's not that bad once I get closer to the screen. Okay. All right, yes, we will be having Ghost join us. They are one of the followers on the channel. We've had some interesting discussions in my comment section and chat regarding their experience as a queer Jewish person. So they offered to come on and have some discussions about what it's like to be a fellow religious queer person. So hopefully they'll be joining us shortly. And until then, we will just hang out and chat. And we've got our little kitty here. This is number 2. He's our usual suspect on the stream kitty cam. He's finally back in his rhythm now that he's adjusted to the fact that we're we have moved everything around. Hello, 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 non-binary hatchling and Quill. Yes, hello, kitty. Quill says hello to you. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yes, we are doing well. Excited for today's conversation with Ghost. Yeah, and Kitty's doing well. Like I was saying, he's adjusting well to the fact that the stream room has been moved around now that we've gotten our rhythm back, and the fact that, we also changed the time and like all the rhythms of the day and the space and everything got moved. So he's finally adjusting, and he's now coming, right on time, right on everything. And he's doing good. So alhamdulillah, we're doing well. How are all of you doing? How is your Wednesday going? If it's even still Wednesday where you're at. Yeah, how's everyone doing? What are you looking forward to the live stream? Does everybody even know who the guest is, who the live stream is? How many of y'all saw? I saw the video absolutely tanked. I'm wondering if it's because I have a standard format now for announcing guests and TikTok doesn't like it. It's like, this is too similar to something you posted before. That's the point. You're crocheting when I should be cleaning. That is so real. That is so real. That is me every day. Although currently it's mostly knitting, though. I have a knitting project that I'm mostly working on. You're working on revising a paper, but it's taking forever because I'm a bad writer. Oh, I believe in you. I don't think you're a bad writer. It might just take you more time than the average person, that's all. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it, inshallah. Who was the first queer Muslim? Oh, Muhaz. I know you. You get to go away. You are just here to scream in all caps things that have nothing to do with anything. Muhaz has been up in my comment section. Just at one point they said this type of Muslim comes from China, not from Europe, and then refused to explain themselves. So, like, we're not even entertaining any of Muhaz's questions. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. But while we're waiting on Ghost, we could just have kind of an open Q&A, if you all would like. I know Muhaz got the #1 viewer badge for a hot second and then came in and got booted right out. couldn't even enjoy it for a moment. It's all good, Quill. Yeah, I mean, got to deal with people like that for 1 second until I, use the tools at my disposal to send them right out of there. It's just part of the experience, but yeah, inshallah, it'll get better over time. It's what we're here to do, is make it better over time. But yeah, if y'all wanted to do open Q&A on queerness and Islam, or we could jump into a little bit of the book. Excuse me. While we're waiting on Ghost. And let me double check my email real quick to make sure that they haven't sent me something that I'm missing about, like, oh, the link isn't working or anything like that. Could very well be that, like, because we're testing out new ways for the guests to join. So it may very well be that, like, I have a snafu on my end. And I keep saying, we're waiting on Ghost, and we're waiting on C. Okay, nothing there thus far, but that's all good. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. But how is everybody doing? Have you had some water? Have you had some food? Have you had your meds? Whatever you need today. Yes, we've got our little kitty. He's doing his best imitation of a turkey over here in the cat tree. Hi, bud. This isn't about queerness, but I've been wondering about mental health in Islam. Do you know where in the Quran it talks about mental health? That's a good question. That is definitely not my specialty. I mean, I know a lot about mental health in general. I don't know a ton about, like, the intersection of mental health and Islam. That is something I should look into more. But I don't know. I don't know a ton about like the Quran and mental health. What is the meaning of Jewish Muslim? It means that I'm Muslim and our guest today is Jewish. And whenever they arrive, it will be Jewish Muslim dialogue. You're a queer Muslim youth member? Oh, mashallah, Rafi. Wonderful. Well, glad to have you here. You got a free lunch at your college today. Happen to be at the right place and the right time. Mashallah. That is wonderful. We love when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us in the right place at the right time. That's excellent. But yes, yeah. I was thinking of putting like Jewish/Muslim. But like a lot of times putting a backslash in things makes it mess up because, you know, it links to places or it puts a backslash in like a URL and it just like ruins the whole thing. So I've been avoiding putting front or backslashes in my titles. So I just put a space instead. And you know what? If it makes people upset because they go, oh, what's a Jewish Muslim? I'm like, so much the better. People deserve to have their biases challenged. But yeah, that's what that means. It means that I'm Muslim and our guest today is a Jewish person. And inshallah, eventually we'll be talking. And let me also take a look at my DMs real quick to make sure that I'm also not missing anything there. Oh, I did get a message. Uh-oh. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. That would be easier. It's that way too. Oh, 1 second. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. So we are, in fact, having technical difficulties. That is what I figured. So we're DMing and figuring it out. Turns out something I did to try and make it easier is making it harder. So we're working on it. And if anyone's commenting on YouTube, apologies. I'm not seeing it because the thing that I use to check the YouTube comments is the thing I'm using to check my DMs. I appreciate y'all always bearing with the technical difficulties that we have here. But yes, yeah, I am definitely interested to learn more about the intersection of Islam and mental health. Because I know a lot about mental health. In fact, like specifically, actually, like eating disorders are a like special interest of mine. So I know a lot about, eating disorders and anti-fatness and weight loss and, you know, the lack thereof and nutrition and kind of just that whole world. But I don't know a lot about how it intersects with the Quran. So that might be interesting to research. So, all right. Let's see. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Ghost has popped back up. All right, we're working on. And in the meantime, this is the mug of the day. We've got our Be a Blessing to Others mug with the little lavender. And we've got some sour cherry cordial in there because I finally have straws back. Considered healed enough from the oral surgery to at least have straws back. I'm not fully back on regular food, but I at least I'm allowed to have straws. Thank you, Ellis. It's part of my bee mug collection. I have many bee-themed mugs. Okay. Wonderful. All right, see you shortly. Yay. Okay, Ellis, goodness gracious. Ghost will be joining the Twitch chat in just a moment, and then I will add them to the stream here. So here we go. Invite guests. And then I will... hello. Hi, Ghost. Hi. Okay, so let me just add you here. Right. So we are sending you an invite to join here. So you should be getting an invitation for Twitch guest star. And then, aha, hello. Let me make sure I have my... Hello. Okay. Hi. And all right, can everyone... Let me go back to my YouTube comments since I don't need DMs open anymore. Excellent. All right, and now can everyone hear Ghost? Do you mind giving a little, yeah. Give a little test 1, 2, 3. All right. Hello. Hello, everybody. Rando. Oh, jazakallah khair to everyone who's being very kind in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, and Quill, I've seen I remember Sage talking about that. I don't remember where they said specifically it was. Okay, all right. We're going to go ahead accordingly because I do see that when it says that Ghost is talking, that we get a flare up on the desktop audio on my mixer. So you can't hear anything besides me? Okay, wait. All right, I'm going to be quiet for a second. Ghost, do you want to just give a little, vamp for a moment?
Hello, everybody. Just making sure everyone can hear me correctly. I am wearing headphones as well, so I can turn those off and just use my phone audio if that works.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Wait. Okay, I wasn't... Ghost is quiet and far away. Okay, let me, I'm turning up the desktop audio a good bit because I had it down earlier. Okay. Do you want to give a little bit more vamp now that I've adjusted it?
Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. I did also turn off my headphones as well, so hopefully this is a bit clearer for everybody.
Okay. What do we think now? Is that a little bit better? A little bit nicer? That's a bit better. Okay. And I can always turn it up more as well. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right, so we will go ahead and jump in and get started. So, Ghost is going to be on audio only today. So, for anybody who's wondering, like, where are they? They're here. They're in the ether. They're a ghost. You'll
Yep.
just get to not see me as usual. So y'all should be used to that by now, right? So, welcome in, Ghost. Thank you so much for joining us to do a quick
Thank you for
little.
having me.
Oh, of course, yeah. Thank you. I'm very excited for this. Ghost. This is Ghost. They use they them pronouns. We met just kind of in the comment section of one of my videos where I think it was the queer Shabbos video that I
Yes,
had,
yes.
uh, where it was just, I had some interfaith adventures and I got to meet a lot of queer Jewish folks in the comment section of that video. So we just kind of bonded over that and had some really interesting discussions and decided to continue the discussions here. So, is there anything else that you would want folks to know as kind of an intro to you going into this discussion?
Um, Honestly, I don't think so, but I'm a pretty open book when it comes to most things. Um, I do keep all my like personal private information to me, but I'm pretty open about most things.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, I feel that. One of the things I think that we talked about that was very interesting is that we both come from really big families. You definitely have me beat. I'm one of five, and my father was one of seven. But you are one of 10. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I always joke about that too because my family is very spread out in our ages. So my
Oh.
oldest brother just turned 32 this past January.
Okay.
But my youngest brother, the youngest of us, he actually doesn't turn 6 until next month, the end of next month.
Oh wow, that is a big gap. Wow.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, let me
So,
do math. 24 years difference
yes,
between
I believe he
10
was like,
kids.
I think my oldest brother was 25 when my littlest brother was born.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. So is it
Yes,
so they didn't it's not like an even staggering where it's like 2 or 3 years in between. There's some like big gaps in between each one.
yes, and no.
Interesting.
um,
Okay. It's
so
it's not even. Some are soon and some are far.
yes, yes,
That is
it's
so
from
interesting.
there's my older siblings have a different father from my mom's first marriage. But they are
Ah.
all very close together. They are all less than 2 years apart. So two of them are about a year and 3 months apart, and then
Mhm.
the other two are about a year and 8 months apart. And then there's a big gap of about 5 years between the youngest. We normally group us. That's how my mom would always refer
Yeah.
to us when we were growing up. So there would be the big kids, which are the older three, and then there's me, my little brother, and my little sister, and all three of us are
Mhm.
within 361 days of each other. So
Wow.
I was born, and then 2 months later, it was almost 3 months, but 2 months later, my little brother was born, and then exactly 9 months after he was born, my little sister was born. And she
Oh
was
my
born 4 days
goodness.
before I turned one.
Wow. That is so
Yes.
cool.
And then it goes for the rest of them too. I have two little sisters who are less than 2 years apart, but are a couple years younger than my little group that's in my age. And then the littlest ones are the babies, and they are the ones who are 6 and the ones who are 8.
Nice. Yeah, that is so interesting to have that like grouping because my family is like similar but different where we have a grouping but it's staggered where I'm one of five and my mother was a Catholic natural family planning teacher, so she was very like regimented. She had us all 2 years apart,
Yeah.
almost like on the dot. We're all born like within a few months of each other. Like it's regimented. But we are grouped more by like personality type. So we joke that my parents only had two molds. They had the A mold and the B mold. And so the first, the third, and the fifth are all very, very similar to each other in like body type and personality. And so that's the A mold. And then myself and uh the fourth one, we like I swear like we get mistaken for twins all the time, even though we're like several years apart. And we look exactly like our mother, who looks exactly like her mother. Like it's like carbon copy. Um, and so we joke that like we're the B mold. So even though it's actually like not at all by age, but we do also have like a funny kind of grouping as well. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, that honestly, because
Yeah.
where I'm from, there isn't a whole lot of big families. Like where I grew up,
Mm, yeah.
we were the only big family in town.
Yeah.
And I also grew up somewhere where it's very, very small. It's a rural, unincorporated town in the
Oh,
Midwest.
yeah.
So there's like less than 500 people,
Oh
that
my
kind of thing.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
everyone kind of knew us immediately, even if it was just like one kid out. They'd be like, "Oh,
Yep.
we know that family.
That's
We
the
know where
so
they
and
come from."
so's. Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling too. Yeah, I was not, ooh, you have me beaten in a few ways. I'm also usually like the person with the most rural experience, but my town was at least, we had like 5,000. We didn't have 500. Oh my gosh. Y-
I've lived in some towns that have like 5,000 people in them, but I
Yeah.
actually I love the outdoors, but I do prefer the city actually, even though I grew up
Really?
very, very much in the country.
Huh.
I like
Yeah.
having I like having things nearby. I grew up,
Mm.
having to drive 45 minutes to get to the grocery store, so moving to the city and having like three grocery stores within 5 minutes, it was
Yeah.
pretty nice when I first moved out.
That is fair. That is fair. My ideal is that I like living like an hour to 2 hours outside of a big city so that once a week or once a month, I can have like a city day where you go and you get like your big run of groceries. You go see a movie, you go do whatever you need in the city, and it's accessible. It's not like, you know, many hours drive, but
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rest of your life you don't have to live in the
yeah.
city. That's my ideal. I've had a couple of places I lived like that, and I've found that that's my ideal, as long as there is still some sort of um some
People?
sort of like little grocery store nearby for those
Yeah.
like, oh no, I like the kids are out of milk kinds of run. It's if you don't have any, like if you're in like a food desert, otherwise that's tough. That's tough. But that's my ideal, is like 1 to 2 hours outside. Like at one point I lived in like a little rural area in Colorado, like 2 hours outside of Denver, and that was perfect. You know?
That sounds gorgeous, and I bet
Yeah.
the wildlife that you got to see was
Oh,
probably
it was
beautiful.
amazing. That was one of my favorite like places I've ever lived, and it was one of the only places I could ever stand to live that is not near water, because I'm very much a water baby and very much like, if it's not on a coastline, I won't live there. Both for like the access to water and the access to seafood. Uh,
Yes,
but
yes.
Colorado was gorgeous enough, and it had enough rivers and lakes and springs and other access to inland water that I was like, okay, we can do this.
See, I would could probably do that because my family's actually my my mother is the first one to live in the Midwest. My
Mm.
grandparents and her didn't move here until she was 16. But
Mhm.
she's from New Mexico, and
Oh.
that's where great-grandparents are like Holocaust survivors. So they
Mm.
made their journey from New Jersey all the way over and decided that New Mexico was where they were going to settle in, I guess.
Okay.
Um, and like it's beautiful. I've been there a couple times. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. I do love it, but it's still cut off from the water and everything. Like the
Yeah.
landscape is beautiful, but I'm also someone that's why I like being here in the Midwest because I'm actually pretty close to the Great Lakes. Um, so like growing up, we used to take it was like a I don't know, like a 5 or 7 ish, somewhere in there, hour drive, and
Hmm.
we drive up to the Great Lakes during the summer and go camping and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So that I do enjoy.
Yeah. That is very cool. Well, getting into our main topic of, kind of our shared experience of being queer and being religious and being queerly religious. I know that's definitely I've kind of run the gamut of being undercover queer in religious spaces, being undercover religious in queer spaces, and being kind of fully out and fully bearing the brunt of it from both sides. But I'd love to kind of hear your experience and kind of your story of like it sounds like you have been Jewish your whole life if you have, great grandparents who are Holocaust survivors. So how did have you grown up practicing Judaism? Did you grow up more culturally Jewish and then came to the practice later? When did you discover your queerness and how does that loop in, and intersect with your religiosity? Like I would just love kind of set the scene for me because I know how my story goes and I've a lot of my story is kind of public on the internet. But I'd love to have, you kind of tell us a little bit about you and then we can kind of, jump in and just talk about what's similar, what's different.
Okay. So like I said, I'm from a very, very rural, unincorporated town in the Midwest.
Mhm.
So, um, there is also, as you can assume, you will be assuming correctly, there is a lot of my background that was influenced by that. And I, I've always known that I was queer. Literally since like the day I came out, I
Nice.
actually have the privilege of, on my father's side, my great uncle is a thankfully surviving elder gay man. So I got to look up to him a lot growing
Oh.
up, even though it wasn't necessarily the same experience. He definitely was an important figure. Like in me
Mhm.
being okay with that and me figuring myself out,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff, and just really having somebody who like was there to support basically. Because my father does come from a Christian background, as
Oh.
do most people in the rural Midwest. That's just
Yes.
like a common theme.
Yeah.
So he grew up with that in mind. However, my great uncle is also, I would say, like one of his most important family members, also to
Oh.
him. It
Yeah.
was somebody who was very instrumental in him growing up
Mhm.
and like becoming who he is. So I think that it kind of allowed us to see each other from a different perspective because when I did actually originally come out, my mother has always been like very much more supportive than my father.
Mm.
And I actually like to joke that my my dad has 5 girls and then me, which is the only non-binary child, and then the rest are boys.
Yeah.
But we always like to joke that his prejudices were changed by his kids that he got because
Yeah.
he got every single one of us are gay. um,
Yep. Oh
there's
my gosh. Wait,
two
me
of them that
too.
are
Yes.
bi, but all of
Yes.
us are gay. So
Yes.
it kind
I've
of,
made the
we
same
joked that
exact joke. Yeah.
yep, it kind
Yeah.
of forced him to be like, well, damn, I can't hate my own children. I mean, I could, but like, it forced him to look
Yeah.
in the mirror, kind of.
Yes, yeah, there is something about being like, I think queer people are terrible or damaged or something, but if you make many of like you could maybe make one or two, but if you make 5 or you make 10 queer
Mhm.
kids and not a single one of them like the printer's ink is just all gay, you really got to start asking yourself like
You gotta kind of look in the
maybe
mirror and be like, is there something I'm missing?
yeah.
Is there something internally?
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually I this is my own personal opinion, but I do think that his upbringing is what caused him to maybe not discover that side of him, especially
Yeah.
with him being so close to my uncle, who was the
Mm.
only openly out person in the family before
Mhm.
I actually came out. He was the only person that was out in the family.
Oh
And
wow.
I always joke that I also was kind of the trendsetter with that because I'm on I'm on the older spectrum of like all
Yeah.
of my cousins and stuff. And I was also the first like child to openly come out, and then
Mm.
everyone else kind of just followed the lead, They all just were like, "Okay, I guess it's cool now. We'll do that."
Yeah. Nice. That is
Um
very cool.
with the Judaism thing though,
Mhm.
I have always uh like been raised very culturally Jewish.
Mm. Mhm.
Again with like my grandparents being survivors, like that kind of really heavily played into how
Yeah.
my mom was also raised, because as they were kind of making their way across the country to New Mexico, my great grandparents were really they were very instrumental in helping my grandparents like raise my mother.
Mhm.
Um, and they also had my mother quite young,
Mhm.
and they my mother actually has a split in her and my aunt as well. She was born, and
Oh.
then they waited 12 years, and then another 4
Wow.
years after that. So my mom was 16 when her younger sister was born, and 12 when the other younger sister was born.
Oh my
So she
goodness.
also basically was like raising her own sisters because of how old she was at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's always been very culturally significant.
Mhm.
My mother actually grew up attending synagogue. However,
Hmm.
with where we live here in the Midwest, the closest synagogue is like 2.5 hours,
Oh wow.
and there is also like I lean more towards a modern Orthodox, but also like a Kabbalistic approach to Judaism. I kind of mix and match them.
Yeah, I was wondering because
But
based on your page that I saw, I was assuming possibly completely incorrectly, but that you leaned a little bit more Kabbalistic.
yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
It's one of my like favorite areas of study. Um,
Yeah.
and my family are actually Sephardic Jews, which are
Oh, yeah.
we came from like modern day Spain and Portugal.
Mhm.
However, a lot of the Kabbalistic teachings in Judaism were created by Sephardic Jews
Oh,
in
I
what
did
is the
not know
modern day Spain
that.
and Portugal. So it
Yeah.
kind of feels like that was my family almost.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
I did not grow up attending synagogue though, with it being so far away.
Yeah.
Um, but my mom still kept like all of the, we'll say, like basic views of Judaism, I guess.
Mhm.
She still very much made that a part of our lives, but we were also never forced to be like actively Jewish or anything.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, my father is a Christian and my mom is Jewish.
Mhm.
Um, and all of my siblings, basically, I actually have a lot of siblings who are agnostic.
Mhm.
I have a couple siblings that are atheists, but most of them are agnostic, where they just don't have a specific thing that they believe in, but they do believe in something.
Yeah.
but I do have a couple siblings who do I actually identify and practice with their Judaism. Um,
Hmm.
but I would say it's not at, I'm definitely the most religious out of all of us. I practice the most out of all of us.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed in I when I was checking out your page to just kind of see what was up, see what kind of questions might be like fun to ask. I noticed that you veil in at least like most of your videos. Is that like can
Yes.
do you want to feel free to always say no if I'm like, do you want to talk about this practice? You can be like, no, I'd rather not get into it, and I 100% I'm fine to be like, okay, moving on to the next thing. But if you want to talk about it, obviously, as a person who veils myself, I'm always very interested to talk about other people's perspective and practices of veiling. So if that's something you are comfortable talking about, I'd love to hear about like how you came to veiling and what you like, what you do it for and what your
Yeah.
experience of veiling.
So like you said, I do it most of the time. There's some times where I will post without wearing anything, but for the most part, it's like 98, 99% of the time I am veiled. So it's called it goes by many different names depending on uh like what Jewish language you speak, where you're
Mm.
at. There's a bunch of
Hmm.
different names, but I'll refer to it as a tichel, which is
Oh yeah.
actually the Ashkenazi version of what it's called.
Oh.
Um, but I, like I said a second ago, I'm mostly Sephardic, but
Hmm.
I do have Ashkenazi and Sephardic in me. I lean towards the Sephardic
Sure.
like
What would you
customs
call
and
it in the
practice.
Sephardic tradition? Because I know the like tichel or I'm
Um,
probably pronouncing it wrong, but I don't know what you would call it in a Sephardic tradition.
I actually have never, I've only ever read it in the Sephardic liturgy because
Oh
it doesn't
yeah.
have a direct translation.
Hmm.
But it's like MatpOcht, I believe is how it's spelled. But it basically translates to headscarf, but it's not,
Sure.
it's more like head shawl because when, so the Sephardic Jews were uh, kicked out. That we were kicked out
Yeah.
of Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
It actually happened 3 days before Christopher Columbus got onto his boat. They made the
Wow.
decree that all Jews had to leave Spain immediately or force conversion.
Oof.
And so a lot of Portugal was not as lucky.
Mm.
They actually got expelled a year after Spain. However, they weren't actually expelled; they were just forced conversion.
Oh, they didn't even get
But
the
a lot of
option to leave.
yes, yes, Spain they got the option. Portugal they just said no. You're just converting to Christianity.
Oh.
Um, so a lot of the Spanish Jews that were in Spain and stuff, they actually came back east
Hmm.
because it was the Iberian Peninsula at the time where they were living, and it was under Muslim rule, and a lot of them were living really good
Oh.
lives
Yeah.
underneath the Muslim rule because there was also decrees in place at the time that like anyone, I don't want to say it incorrectly, but it was basically like anyone of the book, meaning like
Yeah.
Jews, Christians, and Muslims,
Hmm.
all had to be treated equally because we were all of the book basically. Like we kind of
Yep.
all come from the same place, so you can't like go out and murder them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a
so
huge thing in Islamic culture is that like, and
yes.
that there is no forced conversion. It's just if you're Muslim, you pay zakat. If you're not Muslim, you pay jizya. Either way,
Mhm.
like you don't like this whole idea of like Islam was spread by the sword. No. No, it's
No,
literally
it
specifically
literally was
forbidden in
not.
our book to do that. It's just if you're not Muslim, you pay a different kind of tax cuz Muslims pay zakat. That's all.
Yup.
Anybody who's doing it differently is not actually practicing Islam.
Which I wish people would understand too, because this is off topic topic of what
It'd
I
be
was
nice.
just talking about, but like
Oh yeah,
I
sorry.
even no, you're good. I've got my brain running. Even nowadays, like I'm a nanny, a private nanny in
Oh,
my day to
cool.
day when I'm not reading tarot.
Yeah.
But all of my families that I have ever worked for,
Mhm.
all but one actually, have been Muslim families, or
Hmm.
like my family that I work for now and have worked for a couple years now are Punjabi.
Oh,
And like
cool.
I love working, uh, I hate to say it like this, but I like working with non-Christian families because
Yeah.
I tend to get actually treated with respect. Like a lot of the times,
Yeah.
again, because I veil and I dress pretty modestly
Mhm.
on in my day to day.
Mhm.
A lot of I faced a lot of pushback for doing that when it's been
Yeah.
Christian families or just like not even non-religious families kind of
Mhm.
thing. I've faced a lot of pushback on that. However,
Yeah.
all of the like Muslim families and my Punjabi family that I work for, they literally do not care. They could actually care less because most of them also veil, at least
Yeah.
some form. So it's like it does there's like a sense of community just
Yeah.
because they aren't like outwardly going out of their way to hate you. It's like there is an understanding of like we are all just people. We are all just existing. We're
Yeah.
all worthy of living happy lives.
Exactly. Just live and let live, and if it's not hurting anybody, then like okay, cool, you do you. Yeah. I've
Mhm.
never understood that like yeah, there is a big sense from like Christians that are atheists or agnostics, like people and they just like they take it as personally offensive if you choose to cover more of yourself. And it's like
Yes.
uh, what what is it hurting you if I don't let you see like my forearms? You know what I mean? Like even
Mhm.
before I started putting on all of this, even when it was just before I was even Muslim, I just started essentially dressing kind of like a conservative Christian where it was just like long sleeves and like, like a veil that just covered the back of my hair. It was like what and same kind of reaction I would get everywhere of like people were so like offended almost and it's like
What am
what
I
is it.
doing that is offending you?
Yeah,
Like
how is it
I
offensive that like
literally
I'm choosing to just not show you most of my hair and like my ankles and forearms? Like what why does this like anger you, dude? I don't get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never understood that reaction, especially because it wasn't too long ago that it would have been the opposite, you know? Like I mean, I don't
Yes.
personally remember. I'm not like a vampire that's secretly
You're not
100 years
300
old.
years old.
Not 300 years old, but I remember historically like I remember reading about like, like beach police where they would literally go out with tape measures and rulers and be like if you were at the beach and you were like perceived to be someone with a female body, if your swimsuit was perceived to be too short, they would literally come out and like measure it, and if it was too short you could get fined and told to like
That is
go cover
actually
up.
alive and well in the Midwest.
Really? Wait,
Not
really?
not at the beach. However, in school, I have
Oh
had it
yes, in
happen to me.
schools,
They
absolutely.
will pull out the ruler, the meter stick, and
Yes.
they will
Oh, yeah.
measure.
I mean, I went to a Catholic school for a good while, and even in a regular elementary and like middle school, I remember the like, you have to put your fingers down, and if your shorts and stuff don't touch the bottoms of your fingers or lower, that like you'd get dress
Mhm.
coded. But I mean, just like for adults, like fully grown human adults existing in public, like or even well, okay, I shouldn't say this because this will dox where I live. Ooh. But in some places, there were even rules about like, some places you can't wear shorts.
Oh
Um,
yes, yes.
like at all, period. Like you just like women can only wear skirts. You can't wear pants or shorts. Like that and that was less than 100 years ago. That people were being policed by the actual police and fined or jailed based on not covering enough. And now it's making people viscerally upset and they're being fined or policed, like with the whole burkini issue
Oh
on
yeah.
some beaches, like they're being fined or jailed for covering up too much. It's just wild to
Well,
me,
I've
like the
seen one.
180 that we've done.
I actually have two things because
Yeah,
I
please.
also don't understand it from the religious aspect as
Mhm.
priests and nuns. I mean, obviously that's for like Catholicism, but that is a form
Sure.
of Christianity.
Yeah.
They literally they themselves veil and
Mhm.
cover themselves for modesty
Yeah.
reasons. Like it's
Yeah.
not something that's just specific to like Jews and Muslims. That's
Mhm.
not something that only we do. That is like a
Yeah.
widespread thing that people all
Mhm.
around the world do in different forms and different versions and for different reasons too. There's
Yeah.
some people who cover up simply because like where I'm at in the Midwest, it gets extremely hot because
Mhm.
we have what's called corn sweat, which literally raises the humidity in our air because there's so
Mhm.
much corn and soybeans growing, and all the
Oh my
water comes
gosh.
down from the Great Lakes, and it
Mhm.
literally creates this phenomenon called corn sweat, which makes you feel like you're dying because you like
Oh.
can't breathe because the air is so thick. And there's
Wow.
people that have to cover up to make sure that the sun A doesn't burn their skin because of where we're at,
Mhm.
and B they have to wear like masks and stuff to filter out the water so that they can breathe properly. Like it's
Yeah.
also not even always a religious thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. It's people should just be allowed to dress the way that they want to
How they want.
dress. Like
Yes.
it yeah. No, it boggles my mind that people like, I remember seeing these comics where it's like, from behind it showed like, you know, what looks like a guy in a like might be a guy in a thobe and might be like a Muslim woman in a hijab, and this guy like shaking his fist and raging like, oh, like, these religious extremists like dressing this way, and then the two people turn around and it's a Catholic priest and a nun and they go like, "Oh, father, sister, like forgive me." And it's like, yeah, because from behind like it looks exactly like it, loose robes, a veil, it's exactly the same. And even if you're like, "Oh, well that's just for the like scholar class or the cloistered class or something." Okay, uh quite a few lay Catholics also wear mantillas. Like
Mhm.
when I was a little baby Catholic going extremist to Catholic church, I wore a mantilla to church all the time. Like every time I'd go to mass, I wore a mantilla. Surprise, I've been veiling since I knew you could veil. Um, like, it's not just the cloister class who veils in different traditions. Even Christians, like Christian veiling is alive and well in many traditions and not just for the cloistered class.
And from what I've seen on, like TikTok, even
Mhm.
Pinterest, like what I've seen from being on the internet recently, there's
Mhm.
also actually been a like re-up in Christian veiling. I have seen a lot
Mm.
of Christians taking up veiling and like partaking in it and
Oh,
asking for like
interesting.
help on different styles or like how they can
Hmm.
properly wear their veil correctly, because I saw one specifically where it was someone who was Christian who was asking a Jewish practitioner about how she got her tichel like tied up in a
Oh.
turban style without
Yeah.
having any like loose ends on it.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
the Jewish woman whose page it was like was responding and like walking her through it and everything. But
Oh.
I've seen it even becoming even more popular. Not that it ever went away or anything,
Sure,
but like
yeah.
it's even getting more popular nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I've even seen some people who are like completely, they're not veiling for any religious reason, but they just, like there's this one Twitch streamer that I raid quite often and that I followed for a bit, Rad World, who just he's like, yeah, I have like a bald spot. I'm getting older, and like hats are fine, but it's so much more interesting to wear like bandanas and scarves and do this and do that. And so he's been teaching himself different like wrapping styles, and I
I love
like
that.
referred him to Rapunzel, the
Oh, I love
Jewish.
Rapunzel.
Rapunzel was where I learned to do my first wrapping style when I was a like baby
Oh, me
like
too.
like veiling person, because I first started veiling and I was distinctly looking for non-Muslim styles because I didn't want to like imitate anybody's religion. And so I was like, okay, I won't do the like specifically like tickle looking styles, and I definitely don't want to do like hijab looking styles. But Rapunzel had lots of tutorials on ones where I was like, this look to me at least doesn't look like culturally anything, so I'll do that. And so I referred him to those,
Those are
and
so beautiful too. Like
they
she is just so good at like making such intricate patterns and like
right.
making them look so gorgeous.
Yeah, I know it is. It's so cool. But like I'm finding more and more people even like him, where it's just like it's not religious at all. It's not. It's just fully like this is a more interesting head covering than a hat. And like it is. It
And you can
absolutely
play
is.
around with it so much too. Like
Yeah.
I personally am someone who enjoys like dyeing my hair and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can just go out and buy a new tickle and have whatever hair color I want for the day. Like I have a couple that have like sequins sewn into them
Oh
or have like
yeah.
sparkles throughout the fabric. I could never do that with my hair. I
Mm-hmm.
could never do that. And it just gives me like a lot of people say that it takes away freedom, but I actually find that it gives me more freedom
Mm-hmm.
by being able to like express myself in so many different ways. There's different fabrics that you can pick. Like the one that I wear in a lot of my tarot readings, it's a dark burgundy, but through the middle there's a giant panel of lace that runs through it,
Oh
which I like
wow.
fell in love with. There's a
Yeah.
ton of different things that you can do with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and on that like topic of people say it takes away your freedom. It's also there's so much freedom in getting to choose who gets to see what parts of you.
Yes.
Like talking about dyeing your hair. I also used to dye my hair so many fun colors, and maybe I still do. Maybe I don't. Who knows? Nobody on the internet and nobody really besides my wife and whatever close friends I invite to my home where I'm unveiled will ever get to know that information. Like maybe
Mhm.
I dye my hair wild colors every single different week, and whenever I do, nobody comments on it besides like my closest loved ones. And maybe I've had the same like boring plain hair color like ever since I started veiling. And again, like any like who knows? And any change I make, I don't have to worry about am I doing this for other people's reaction, or if I do something, will other people react in a good way or a bad way? I get so much freedom from my body modifications are just for me. And anything else I'm doing is it's an outward expression, and like I said, I can change it up with different veils, different styles, but it's not my body. My body, I feel like I get the freedom and ownership over my body without anybody else's interference or perception of it.
No,
And
I
especially like
completely.
yeah, especially without like anybody especially like in this age of surveillance.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, like there's
That
so much of
actually
that.
that played into why I started nailing.
Yeah.
Uh, Mainly it was for religious reasons, but also not necessarily because
Mm.
technically it's more of a modern Orthodox or like ultra Orthodox practice to veil. Like a lot of modern Jews who aren't modern Orthodox or ultra Orthodox, most
Yeah.
of them don't veil at all ever.
Oh.
However, it typically happens after you're married. Even
Oh, gotcha.
in the modern Orthodox and ultra Orthodox communities, it's there's actually a ceremony like at the wedding where bride and groom, bride and bride, will go
Mhm.
into this separate room after they have like actually read the ketubah and like been
Mhm.
in the ketubah, broken the glass, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. When they're going inside for the party, the two like people that are getting married will go into a separate room, and the bride will put on her veil for the first time, and then the rest of the wedding she is veiled. However, I am not married. I have never been married, and I mean I will get married at some point. But I I took it on even before getting married and stuff. Even I wasn't even in a long-term relationship at the time. I mean I am now, but at the time when I first picked it up, I wasn't in any form of romantic relationship. But it's more so like again, it's about that like connection, especially with being like out here in the Midwest where there's not really a whole bunch of Jewish people just in general. I mean, even if I drive to like the capital where the synagogues are, they aren't full either. They're pretty small. It's like maybe 4 or 5 families total at each one, and it tends to be the elders that are there. It's not necessarily a whole lot of younger people, and I'm also someone who's very, very heavily involved in like activism spaces. Because like I said, I have a giant family and we come from all walks of life. I have siblings of most races that are predominant here in the United States. Um, and like again, a lot of us are gay or some form of LGBTQIA. And so I am always out like protesting and speaking out for what's right because I do hold that privilege over some of my other siblings. Like I won't get pulled over if I'm driving down the street, and they will kind of thing. So I have always made sure to like use my voice and use that privilege to stand up for them. And I feel like when I'm out and I'm wearing my veil and I am being like openly Jewish in a place that doesn't necessarily want any Jews, honestly, anyone who's not like a white Christian male, it I feel like it's pushing back against those people without me even having to say anything. And that's not to say that I don't, because I am a very outspoken person, sometimes to my own detriment. But like I feel like me being visibly Jewish, like when someone sees me, they know that I'm most likely not a Christian person, and I feel like that alone like helps me push back against kind of all those systems in place that I'm already like fighting against. Yes. Mhm. No, I get that. That's actually that's where I am coming at it from too, because I mean, out of my hometown, I am the only lesbian that I know of that was within like 3 years older than me and 3 years younger than me, because I was in a lot of clubs and things like that in school. I was actually student council president, so like and with it being a small school, everyone knows everybody. But I was the only lesbian, at least at the time, that was out. All throughout middle school and high school, I was the only one who was openly dating women, who was openly identifying as that. And I also feel like that was kind of like a spur towards me wearing like the title and stuff, because I do enjoy being visibly queer. I do enjoy being visibly religious. I again, like I was saying a second ago, I sometimes speak up to my own detriment, but I know that I have certain privileges. Even me like presenting, because I'm a femme lesbian, like FEMME, and my partner is butch. So like even that alone, I know that me being perceived as like a white girl basically it does keep me safer, even if I am veiled, even if I am openly practicing like my Judaism or whatever. Even if I'm holding my girlfriend's hand while we're walking through the store, I know that me openly doing that and not only being like seen by other adults, but allowing children to see me and allowing them to like know that I'm literally just another person just like them. I know that it does change things. And even with like the families that I've nannied for, I've sat down and talked with them, because I have had one guy that I worked for that was actually homophobic, which I didn't know, and they gave me the job.
Yeah.
I was talking with one of the children, and he had made an all comment, and I just kind of like sat and inquired with him and got him to say why maybe he was thinking that way or blah blah blah. And I didn't even like tell him that I was queer at that point. I just kind of talked with him and gave him a different perspective to look at. And at the end of the conversation, he was agreeing with me and not his own parents, because he just saw that there was another option. That wasn't the only way to like think or view other people. That like every person is a person. We all are deserving of love and food and a house and like all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, especially with kids, like we don't come out hateful. Like that is inherently taught, and being able to be an influence on kids. Like that's something I've always really loved about working with kids, is that you get the opportunity to be that good influence on them, to show them kindness, and to be, I don't know, to be an example of what could be better for them, but also to show them love and kindness. Because quite often, if a kid is saying something that's like kind of off and kind of homophobic or kind of racist, they're also probably not being shown a lot of love at home, because people who hold those kinds of views often are not very kind to children either. And so being able to be a good example to them, but also show them kindness, because every kid deserves that. Also, real quick, we might need to restart the stream, which is not going to require you to do anything, except for just like hang on from it because all of the things where I just like have to watch my own stream in order to see the comments have tanked.